Hello YouTube, this is OBIS. Thank you for joining me for another sound design tutorial. In this week's video, we will be taking a look at how to make this deep house kind of funk bass that I designed for one of my preset packs. And I'll show you how it sounds in context with the beat I made, and then I'll solo it. Okay, so that's the bass I made. Not too difficult to make. Kind of like a deep, low register bass. You can always separate the frequencies and add a sub layer under that as well. But let's just get right into it. So in Ableton, let's hit Command Shift T or Control Shift T, depending on whether you're using Windows or PC. And if you're not using Ableton, just open a blank MIDI track, as so. In this case, we're going to be using UHE's HIVE. If you have Synth, it's very similar to HIVE, by the way. So if you really want to follow it, if you have something like Synth or any other synth that's similar to it, you could definitely do this with Massive or Serum and stuff. It just, it would be a little different. But yeah, go ahead. So open an instance of HIVE. First thing you want to do is you want to go to Presets. You can go to User, and where it says init in it, you hit that, and that initializes the preset so that you have a blank patch as so. So the first thing we want to do, since it's the bass sound, is we want to put it on mono, because we're not going to be playing any chords. Next thing, let's just copy the MIDI pattern that I made in the previous example. I'll deactivate both the clip and the channel, and I'll just minimize it. So that's initialized sound. So let's get started. We can leave the first oscillator with the sawtooth wave. Let's bring down the octave by 1. Important. Let's put phase to reset. We can leave the width where it is. We can leave it on equal for the sub oscillator. We can enable the sub oscillator, and we're going to be routing all this to filter 1. So to enable sub 1, you just hit it there so the light's on, and let's hear how that sounds. Okay, so doesn't sound good so far. So let's just keep designing it. Next thing, let's go over to oscillator 2. Let's bring it down by 1 octave. Let's put the phase to reset. Bring up the volume a bit. We can leave the width where it's at. We will also leave sub 2 on equal. And let's actually go over to sub 1. It sounded really low in the register, so let's actually bring up the semitone or the pitch. Let's bring it up to 0. Okay, so that sounds a little better, and we're still not there, but at least it's not super low in the register anymore. Next thing we want to do is enable oscillator 2 and sub 2, which we just, we tweak the parameters right there. So what I did is I just brought the volume down a bit. Okay, so now we want to start sculpting the sound now that we have basically the core of it, the bass. So now we want to go over to our amplitude envelope, the main amplitude envelope. Let's bring our sustain all the way down for now. Let's bring the decay down to about 30 or so. Bring the release up to about 40. And let's just bring the sustain up to about 20 or so. Let's hear how that sounds. Okay, so we're just creating a little body for the bass. Next thing we want to do is introduce some filter envelope. So let's bring down our cutoff. Bring up our resonance quite a bit. And as you can see, you're going to start getting that filter sweep and the resonant peaks at the frequency that we want to attenuate right here, so, or boost with our filter envelope. So what we're doing here is we're just turning up our mod envelope amount, which by looking here, you see how 1 is lit up. That basically means that mod 1 is controlling this filter cutoff. So it sounds a little sticky right now, so what you want to do is bring the decay down until you get the sound that you're looking for. And then bring the release up a bit. Okay, and then we brought the sustain up to about 20 or so. Next thing is go to pitch bend, turn it up and down by 12, just in case you want to do any automation pitch downs later in the track. Okay, so as you can see, we have the basic sound. It doesn't sound heavy or low or deep or anything, so what you want to do is, let's start introducing some effects. Now over here in Hive, we have this cool feature, which is 3 different algorithms. So basically it gives you a different overall tone of your sound. So right now we're on normal. And these are basically controlling the different filter modes. So it's different algorithms that you could choose. The dirty gives you more of a gritty sound. Okay, so those are the 3 modes. In this case, I like how clean sounds. It's kind of like a midway point between the dirty and the normal. It's not too clean, but it's not too dirty. So for this sound, I mean, you could pick whatever you want. Just showing you how I made the specific preset. So next thing we want to do is let's enable the EQ. And what I did in this patch is I actually dragged my EQ to the beginning of the chain, which is not really necessary, but I'm just showing you how I designed it. And what you want to do is find the frequency in the bass register that you want to boost, and then boost it. So let's do that. And do the same for the mids and the highs. Okay, next is let's put some distortion. Bring the mix down. Let's turn the reverb on. And we don't really want much of a tail, so we want to bring down the size quite a bit. And then we want to bring down the mix quite a bit. Okay, next we want to turn on the compressor. And let's bring down the output a bit because it's going to get a little louder. And with the compressor, let's bring up the amount until we start getting some gain reduction. So once you start seeing the light start flickering in there, depending on how much or how little, you can adjust that to taste. And let's hear how that sounds with the drums so far, just to get a feel. Okay, so that's essentially the sound, guys. You can always go further, and you have all these modulation slots and destinations. A good one to do if you have a mod wheel on your keyboard, or even if you don't, you can always enable this so you can automate it in Ableton or any other DAW that you're using. So go to the source right here. Let's pick mod. You can click until you see the crosshair. Let's drag that to filter cutoff. So right now I'm just moving it with my keyboard, but you can also move it with your mouse wheel. Okay guys, so that's basically the tutorial, and thank you, and please subscribe.